Thank you for tuning in to the River Street Podcast. This is the River Street Podcast, episode 21. Your host, as always, Preston Olson. Hope everybody's having a good day. Hope everybody had a great day at work. Today was Monday. Remember, do not let Monday beat you up. Do not hate Monday. Make Monday hate you. Wise words from a good friend of mine. Now, really interesting. I want to start off the show by talking about a major move, a major acquisition that took place today in the NBA. And it didn't happen with a player. It happened with Jerry West. Mr. West, folks, is on his way to Los Angeles. He will be joining the Clippers organization to lead their future. My biggest question now is, do guys like Russell Westbrook and LeBron James look at Los Angeles as their opportunity to go on and win a championship and also play with the legendary Hall of Fame coach, Doc Rivers, as well as the supporting cast of Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, and many others? I, as well as a lot of other fans of the National Basketball Association, have seen this coming. We've seen it coming for quite a while now. I think the most interesting thing is that it's actually happening and we're actually beginning to see it play out. I think that's really cool and it's good for the league. Obviously the Lakers are where the Lakers are because of Jerry West and many others. But Jerry West is such a prolific figure and such a premier name, a household name. So when he comes to an organization like the Los Angeles Clippers, he doesn't have to go very far. So I don't think this was much of a tough choice for him at all. I think this was a very easy choice. I'd like to hear from somebody close to Mr. West about his decision-making behind this choice. But that's for a later time. Very interesting. What will happen now? I mean, does LeBron James look at the Los Angeles Clippers as a big destination, maybe the number 2 destination besides his home state? So I don't necessarily know the mentality that NBA players have because I am not an NBA player. So I don't know the mentality. But what I do know and what I can speak to is that when there is a drawing attraction somewhere, it will draw people. And Jerry West is that drawing attraction that will draw superstar caliber players to the Los Angeles Clippers long after Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan leave. If they ever do. Very interesting, very exciting time for the league. This year will be a great year, and the NBA has to do as much as they can to have a very competitive regular season. It's going to be up against the NFL, the tail end of the MLB season, which is the playoffs, and then you're talking about later on in the year when hockey gets started. So the NBA always is competing with other leagues, whether they want to admit it or not. They are the number 2 league. I would say, the NFL is obviously the number 1 sports league, but very interesting. A big move for the Los Angeles Clippers. We're looking forward to it. We'll see what happens from here. White Sox have been looking great lately. I don't know if anybody's caught on. I'm going to actually pull up their current record as of today. But what I can speak to about the White Sox is that I am just enjoying this time of year because you're not basically teetering. Like, you're not so much worried about, okay, we lose a game here, we lose a game there. All right, we can make that up, instead of being in August and September where the script's already written. I mean, you have to win the majority, if not mostly all of your games, if you're going to get to the playoffs at that point. So baseball isn't lacking in competition. It's not lacking as far as the schedules go, as far as I would just say, filling up ballparks is probably the biggest problem they have. But I mean, if you look at the size of these places when they built them, there's always been a part of me that just is like, I don't expect them to fill it, and I don't think they expect to fill it. I think they just consistently want to sell tickets and sell more tickets later in the season than earlier to show a positive trend, so they can bring that back to the drawing board. So there's a lot of marketing things that go into it, advertising, it's just a huge part of the sport and the sport world now. It goes hand in hand with sports. You're a favorite athlete one day, and then, you start to just get aggravated with them because you see them on so many commercials, and then they're in movies. And I'm not saying don't go be successful, but there comes a point where people get sick and tired of seeing the same person trying to glorify themselves, and they already have the fame and the millions. And it's like when you see a celebrity do a commercial for like beer or like a soda pop or whatever, you see him do it, you're like, man, don't you have enough money? Like, leave that for the starving actors that are over here digging in dirt piles trying to find a good role, that are getting the bunk rolls. And, you got, let's put it in bakery terms, you got the baker's dozen and they got, 6, and they ordered the baker's dozen. So that's just kind of the, the mentality there that I have towards it. Just getting the White Sox stats pulled up right now because I want to make sure we're accurately talking about the White Sox record right now. And off memory, I never remember the record, especially if they had a game during that day. I usually don't remember the record in baseball. I always have to look it up. There's just too many games. It's not like the NBA season where, you might be able to remember that off memory following along with your favorite team. The NFL season, obviously, that's so easy. But when it comes to baseball and you got over 100 games in the regular, I mean, it's just like, whoa, man, this is a lot to track down. So the Chicago White Sox have looked very, very good these last 3 weeks. I've been very impressed. They've won some series, closed out some series here. They're trying to do something a little bit different this year and build the foundation, I believe, so that next year they can make a serious run at the playoffs and hopefully a World Series desperately needed by this organization and this franchise, more than any other organization or franchise, might I add you. I will say that they are 31-37, so not a lot has changed since the last time we talked. A few more wins, a few more losses. They're still coming in at 5th in the AL Central, but right now is a time to just be able to enjoy baseball for what it is, enjoy the White Sox for who they are, and it's just a great time to just be alive. So very happy about that, very happy with the future of the White Sox organization. So many young stars coming across the board, so many young guys coming across the board. What a great time to be a Chicago White Sox baseball fan. The Xbox Game Pass just came out not too long ago. I have just subscribed to it, and I gotta tell you, Xbox, I am happy. I'm very pleased. I'm like doing that thing with my hands where I like rub them together like I'm starting a fire, but really I'm just like contemplating how much I like it, and it's like the evil genius move. The Xbox Game Pass, look, some notable games: Halo 5, NBA 2K16. They got the WWE 2K16. There's and many more. There's so many games on this Game Pass, and many more that are going to come out. Don't forget Payday. That's a huge game. That's a huge game. And I mean, as you continue to see the games come out, you will see this Xbox Game Pass grow into, in my belief, my theory on the Xbox Game Pass is not conspiracy at all. I really do think it will be the Netflix of video games once it's up and running for a period of time. Let's say give it, 7-8 months. This is going to be the Netflix of gaming, Xbox Game Pass. Check it out. Get it. It's free. You get a 2 free week trial. It's awesome. It's free for 2 weeks. You can play all the games you want on there. All the games that they offer there. And it's really, really neat. And the way they have it set up is just so damn cool. So, in this particular podcast, I have chosen to talk more about sports and entertainment on this particular episode 21. If you're looking for something with politics, look out for the next podcast because we will dive a lot deeper into politics on the next podcast. But right now, we're just going to keep it really fun, really entertaining. I mean, it's Monday night. I don't want to bombard you with, too much. I don't think that's right. Pineapple Express is the best stoner movie in the last 10 years and of all time. No, it's not Dazed and Confused or Friday or Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle or How High or Half Baked. Those are all great movies, but no dice when it comes to the number one slot. Pineapple Express, besides the Godfather movies, is my favorite movie. It's my favorite movie besides the Godfather series. Godfather 1, 2, and 3, I love them all. Number 1 is obviously my favorite. I will say the Pineapple Express is my favorite movie after those 3. So you can critique my taste, but I'll tell you what, I don't watch a movie unless it grabs me in that first 30, 40 minutes. In that first 30, 40 minutes, that movie's got to grab me or I'm done. I've given movies chances. Very rarely have I actually given a movie a chance. Like, let's say I've watched it for 40 minutes, right? I'm sitting here, I got my popcorn, my big gulp, and, who knows what else. And I'm telling you, I'm really just telling you, I've given movies 40 minutes or more, and if they can't produce, if they can't perform, I don't want to watch it. But I have. Whether it was a girlfriend or maybe it was over at my friend's house and I had no control of the TV, whatever the scenario is, I've very rarely been able to see movies go over 30 or 40 minutes that have pulled me in and changed my mind. Off the top of my head, the Minority Report with Tom Cruise is one of those movies. Phone Booth is one of those movies, but the list is very short. Like, you'll hear a lot of people talk about the movie War. You remember War? Right? That was supposed to be the movie of the year. No, not even close. Not even third place. Not even third place. Not even a bronze medal for that movie. Because to me, it was lacking so much. And it reminded me of when Seth Rogen and Jet Li did that movie not too long ago, The Green Hornet, which was really a total bust. And it's like I watched the whole thing, hoping that somewhere in there it would pick up, and it just didn't. And I kind of felt like Jet Li felt the same way. I really do. And I like Seth Rogen a lot, man, but I really feel like Jet Li was kind of like, damn, that was not my best right there. And, Seth, I definitely feel like Seth felt the same way. Remember Danny McBride, and This Is the End? He said, he tells him, where was that performance in The Green Hornet? It's just that, man. I just remember performances and cinema. I'm just such a big fan. The 90s generation, right? My generation, we grew up in the 90s. We've seen it all in the 90s. We had our fun in the 90s and then transpired into the new millennium. the great thing about the 90s generation is, and like anybody that was born up until 94, after 94, I'm cutting you off. No 95, 96, no. You are not, to me, you're not considered as a 90s baby. You're a new millennium baby. But if you were born before 94, and I was in 92, was when I was born, December 30th, 1992. And I'll tell you what, I had so much fun watching those cartoons that I go back to on Saturdays and watch from the 90s. I had so much fun watching the movies that came out in the 90s, and how many good movies and how much the movie theater meant to me as a kid in the 90s. And now I have a lot of friends who are parents, and when they talk about their kids and stuff like that, they don't take them to movies. They don't take them to the cinema. They don't, they're not showing up to IMAX. And this is just a lot of my friends. This is not, a whole generation, but I'm seeing a trend. I'm seeing a big trend because I'm starting to talk to other people. And, they'll openly talk about their lives. I mean, all you got to do is give someone the floor and they're ready to spill their whole life story. Some people are an open book, and, you can fault them to a degree for that, but, I'm never going to hate anybody for speaking their mind or, being who they want to be. I mean, more power to you, as long as you're not hurting anybody or being violent, and belligerent. And even if you are being a little belligerent, I really don't care. But for the most part, just keep it clean and you'll be fine. I see a trend happening. It's beginning to form. It's like a strange brew type of feeling I'm getting. Like, that beer you drank and it just doesn't sit right with you, or that whiskey you drank and all of a sudden you just like your stomach's starting to curdle. I'm starting to see that trend with the next generation coming up. The people turning 18 now, and I don't like using the word millennial. I really hate that word. I'm trying not to use it anymore. I'm doing my best. But that's what they refer to a guy like me, even though I'm not a millennial. They refer to me as millennial, and it's just stupid to me. To me, it's disrespectful. I don't call somebody old man, right? I don't go up to somebody that looks old and be like, hey, grandfather time, I just wanted to let you know, and then just go on my rant, but I feel like older people feel this sense of entitlement that, what, you're younger, so you just don't know. And I look at them and I'm like, well, I'm younger, but I study the world. I'm studying the world around me and the world I live in. I'm not studying the world 10 years ago that we lived in. I'm studying the world now that we live in. I can only speak to my experiences as a man. Any man should be able to tell you that, unless I doubt their manhood. What I would say is that I focus on now, not the future, not the past. I focus on now. I'm a lover of history, lover of the arts, a lover of sports. I just love to love. Here's the thing. There is no great love without great disappointment. Wise words from Martin Luther King. Wise words from the great Martin Luther King. God bless his soul. But it's so true, and it's so true today in our world we live in today. It's just so true. You're going to be disappointed. The people you love the most might let you down. I hope they don't. But the people, the celebrities, the athletes, the people you put on a pedestal, they might let you down. I hope they don't. I really hope they don't. But it's happened to me. And again, I'm just speaking from experiences, and I'm not going to speak on anybody and who it was and all that. That's totally for, off the cuff, off the air type of talk. I'm not the type of person that wants to shame anybody unless they shame me, because then I fight fire with fire. And to me, two wrongs don't make a right, but they make us pretty damn even. So, I'm okay with living like that. It's worked for me this far, and I'm pretty successful. So it's worked for me this far. What I will say is that the 90s generation, I feel like, is going to be, and up to about 94, is that generation that's going to remember going to the movies and going to the cinema with grandma, with mom, with dad, and up until they got their first girlfriend when they were, however old, and when their parents allowed them, and then went to the movies and did that and went with friends and stuff like that. The 90s generation, my generation, is going to be the last generation to really embody that. It was the 80s, and I talked to so many people from that generation, and I'm so fascinated by the 80s. But again, I live in today's world. I don't live in yesterday's world. I don't live in tomorrow's world. I live in today's world because I'm a realist. That's where we're at. So I deal with today, and I do my best to plan out my day before it happens. But at the end of the day, I'm living right now. So you can look at time as your enemy or look at time as your friend. To me, it just depends on what the situation is and where I'm at. And then I'll basically just, talk about time in that sort of way. Whatever type of situation I am in is the way I'm going to look at time. That's me. I'm that type of guy that's like, you know what? Bad things are happening over here. Bad things are happening over there. But I look at it on a case to case, on an individual basis. Like my experience over here with this cop, just for an example, my experience over here with this cop might not have been the best experience, but this guy got pulled over and he had a great experience with the cop, and the cop treated him really well. So, I mean, you can only speak to your experiences, and people would do a lot better in their own lives if they just worried about themselves a little bit more and stopped worrying about their Facebook feeds, their Instagram feeds, their YouTube channel. Don't worry. If you want to be successful and you put all the chips on the table and you do everything possible, and you're doing everything possible, you're taking care of your body, you're getting enough sleep, you're putting the right nutrition in your body, eat right, sleep right, live right. It's all one big giant circle until you're gone. So enjoy it. Just enjoy it. You're going to be glad you listen to the River Street podcast, because I'm just the type of guy, your host, Preston Olson, is the type of guy that's just going to break down life to you in a simple way so that even the most layman's term guy is going to figure it out. The guy that's like, I need it in layman's terms, or I can't read it, or I can't understand it. I'm your man. You found him. You found the guy who can explain it to you. But I've seen so much talk about our generation, the 90s generation, the what they call the Millennials. But I feel like if you're 24, 25, up to about 29 in there, we're all really falling under the same category. Let's be real. We're really all falling under the same category. If you're 23 and under, it's really debatable. It depends on your personality, on how someone's going to approach you. But to me, it's like, don't call me a millennial. I'm not a millennial. I'm a grown-ass man. My name is Preston Olson. Talk to me like you want me to talk to you. Otherwise, you're really going to have something to say about me. So that's my biggest thing. Worry about your own situation. Don't live up to other people's standards. I feel like so much I see online, I hear from people, whether it's a phone call, face to face, whatever. They're trying to live up to someone else's standards. They're trying to be happy by making someone else happy, and that is not the right way to live. The only way you can truly find happiness is to find the craft you love the most. For me, it's writing. It's doing the podcast. I was talking to my younger brother the other day. I said, dude, if I could just write and do this podcast every week, I'm happy. I'm a happy guy. The money's going to come. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to make my money. And I'm going to, for the most part, fly under the radar. But if I can just write, do my podcast, I put myself out there, I did the best I could, I will never feel guilty, ever. And that's the way to live. Not feeling guilty, not having all that remorse built up. Everybody's got some skeleton in the closet somewhere. Everybody's got some, Bone Jones skeleton in their closet. Here's the thing. The past is the past. Now is now. You have to live for now. You have to do your due diligence about what's going on in the world. I'm disappointed that we're not going to talk too much about politics. What I will say, because we're coming to the close of the show, I'm going to get ready to do some meal prep. I'm going to hit a workout. It's late, but just the way my schedule is, this is the only time I'm going to be able to work out. So we're coming slowly to a close. The last issue I really want to talk about, and it's really important to me, is I did see something, and a couple of my friends brought it to my attention, which is okay. I'm glad they do that, and they know what I do and everything like that. But there's really two topics that are very uncomfortable to talk about. And I want to leave everybody with this. I'll give you a junk file. I'll give you a hidden gem, but we're gonna move past the junk file really quick, and I'm gonna hit you with this hidden gem. It's really important to me that we put the issues out in the open and we talk about them. We have a civil discussion, an open discussion, and we have fun talking about it. But there's two things that are not fun to talk about. One of them is the pro-life, pro-choice discussion. The other one is euthanasia. These are two topics that I want everybody that listens to the podcast to go do their homework on. I'm not going to tell you my opinion. I'll tell you my opinion at the beginning of the next podcast. But what I will say, because I'll leave you with a little bit of a cliffhanger. What I will say is that I'm very, very conscious and considerate of other people's feelings. And I've been that way my whole life. If anybody's taken the time to get to know me, they know I am one of the most passive-aggressive patriots in the whole country. I love my country. I stand for my country. No matter who is in that office, I support that person. That individual is not only representing our country, they're representing me. The biggest problem we have today, as much as people want to talk about race, it's not race. It's the ability to talk to one another. It's the biggest problem we have. Race is up there. It's definitely top 3 problems in the country right now. Race is up there. It's one of the top 3. But being able to actually have a conversation and hold conversations without holding prejudice against each other, not each other's ideals, but each other as people, is one of the hardest things to really, I don't want to say do, but I really do. It really is. It's just to do a conversation now is not what it was like when I was a kid and I could just walk up to anybody and just ask them anything and we could talk about it. Now everybody is so damn sensitive. And I'm the type of person that likes to joke. I love to tell jokes. So to me, when someone gets sensitive or offended, I really do not want to say sorry. I really don't want to say sorry. If I'm really being an asshole, I'll say sorry. But that is rare. That's rarer than a possum in your gutter. You know what I mean? It's rare. So it's one of those things where we have to work on conversation skills with each other. And we have to practice that on each other and carry that over to our jobs. And I said it in the last podcast, and I'll say it again. If we all acted more like we did at our jobs, we would be better people. And I'm not saying act like a robot or anything like that, but we would be better people because the way you act at your job is professional. And people tend to act belligerent, or maybe they want to talk about certain issues after they're fully loaded. Because I've come to the point where, like, if someone's drunk or they're drinking, I don't want to talk politics with them because they're going to be sensitive. They're going to get their feelings hurt. They're going to get offended. No matter what I say, even if we're agreeing, they could take it the wrong way because they've been drinking. So I really put my foot down on that. And if people are drinking, the best thing to talk about is sports, entertainment, news. That's not politics. And I'll give you that little bit of wisdom so you don't have to run into those awkward ass conversations that I have with people that I'm just like, you don't even know what the hell you're saying. And you're going to wake up in the morning and not even remember the conversation, because I've had people openly tell me how they felt about something, a certain situation, a certain political event, a certain person in politics. And you all know who I'm talking about. Here's the thing. Then people drink or they get drunk and then they totally change their stance or their opinion, or they're just different. And to me, that's the truth. How they could cut loose. And it took a little bit of liquor, maybe took some wine, beer, Moscato, whatever you have. And then they start to cut back. They start to cut loose. That's the truth to me, for the most part. Because sometimes it's not always the truth, because people slur their words. And once they can't perform complete sentences anymore, then it becomes, okay, you know what? You're tanked. You're done. Throw in the towel. Tell your corner, throw in the towel. It's over for you. But people don't know when to cut themselves off. And I think that's a very dark place to be, is when you don't know when to say enough is enough. And I know a lot of people like that they just can't say enough is enough. And I just don't know what that's like. Because ever since I've been a young man, 15, 14, I've been able to say enough is enough. Whatever the situation was, whatever I was feeling, I always conveyed my words as respectable as I could. And sometimes maybe they didn't come out that way, but my intentions were pure. They were good intentions. It was never to hurt anybody. It was never to make anybody feel bad. But we are in a place in the country now, and I know it's not just me experiencing it. It's many people I talk to. I talk to a lot of people every day. It's many people I talk to that feel the same way. And I thought it was just me. And the reason I chose to speak about conversations and, being a conversationalist is a real thing. And I consider myself one because I can hold a conversation with anybody. The problem I have with people is when people want to know your views, and then once they find out my views and how I view things on politics, they become disturbed, or they become self-righteous in their determination of me. And I don't think that's necessarily the best way or the most practical way to go about it. But to each his own, and you're going to have to make the bed you sleep in. And that's what I always tell people. I said, if you're going to debate me, if you want to, and to me, everything's not a debate. Facts are facts. Facts are not debatable. So present the facts and let the facts be what the facts are. Opinions are debatable. Loose information without sources, without cited references, those are up for interpretation. Debate that. Don't debate facts. You'll never win. And I don't speak about issues and things I don't do my homework on and research and understand fully, to the best of my comprehension ability, what it is and what that issue is. So I really challenge everybody on two things tonight. Study the pro-choice, pro-life argument. Study euthanasia. I want to know how you feel about it. I'm interested in you. You've heard over 30 minutes of me now talking. I'm interested in you. I want to hear what you have to say about these issues. But like I said, I didn't want to get too much into politics. We'll save that for the next podcast. There's a lot of exciting things and a lot of good things happening in politics, and I could focus on those. So I'll take that into consideration myself. But I do honestly believe that now more than ever, we need brotherhood. We need chivalry. We need camaraderie. We need to come together. We need to band together as people, not as activists, not as protesters. I'm a big believer in be an active listener before you ever tell me you're an activist. The junk file of the week. This is one of my favorite times when I get to put something in the junk file, and I know it sounds bad, but it's so true. It's just so true. The junk file this week, you're going to have a good time with this one. You're going to have a really good time with this one. I am putting in the junk file this week weather that is over 90 degrees is too hot for my thick blood. There's an old saying about us here in the North, and I think that saying applies directly to me, honestly. That saying is very calmly, very intuitive. Down south, they look up here and they say, that man is cold as a northern. And they're absolutely right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me, Preston Olson, on the River Street Podcast, episode 21. Have a great night. Have a great week. I will see you next week on Monday. Check out the YouTube page, the Facebook page, the Instagram page, and my blog. Everybody, thank you very much for being with me on this journey. I appreciate it. God bless. Stay tuned for my new book. When the new book drops, if you want a copy, you get a copy. But you got to let me know. Everybody else, just like the hands of time.